Good morning everybody, and this is your Dow Jones day trade setup for today. So we did get a pretty solid break to the upside, or attempted a break to the upside, to get above the top of this range at 35,200, but the sellers kind of stepped in. So as far as I'm concerned, that is top of range. We have a gap down, we're sort of already moving back up to close the gap. I'm not really convinced that we can not, that this last move last week, which is sort of the last 2 days of last week, is actually any form of a price action that we need to pay attention to. To me, it was like a bit of confusion, nice big bar, then gentle, then an exhaustion bar to the top. We've also got a little bit of divergence. You can see price has made a new high, but oscillators have made a lower high. So a little bit of confusion still in this market. And if you look at the 3 hour, look at my oscillators, and every time we've got oscillators of grouped to the upside, what's happened? Back to the bottom of the range. So there's a lot of support here. There's a lot of, depending how you look at it, but there's quite a bit of support in this zone. So this is a strong area of resistance, should I rather say, and we need to get above it, and then we're going to test it a few times before it actually gets moving again. So I'm still very much sit on hands. Last week, you see between these vertical lines here, these dotted lines, that indicates the week. You see the last 2 weeks have pretty much been sideways. There's been no structure at all. So you're still looking to buy, but you're looking to buy lower down. And I just want to put all these levels in on the 3 hour so that we've got them. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm just picking up these tails from last week. So you can see there, and there. And then we've got one down here. So those are pretty much my levels that I have going at the moment. And if we come down to the hour, what we're looking for is a couple of things. So firstly, oscillators to ease off, looking for them to group like this, and all group at the bottom. So if that happens, we are halfway there. Moving averages have crossed over and are pointing up. So this first move down, I expect another move down because it didn't really bounce off anything. I suppose we could argue that it took that there. And the interesting thing here is these fractals, it typically goes after not the closest one to price, but the closest one to where the current price is. I don't know if I'm making sense. So this one is the closest to where price is at the moment. So this fractal is closest to here, but it's not what it aimed for. It aimed for the one that is closest in terms from price to the high of that fractal. So just a very interesting observation. You often see it didn't target this one or this one. It targeted this one because it's still closer than the other two, but it's closer this way around. I should probably do a video on it now, explain it in more detail. But anyway, at the moment, we've gapped down. We've kind of rallied off structure. This is the structure we're rallying off, which is 35,100. I would expect a retest of this, probably a retest a little bit further down to 35,072. Now there are a few magnets to the downside, and I think that is something which you really need to keep in the back of your head, and that is gaps. Now there are quite a few of them, so I'm just going to highlight one or two of them for you. And there's none there. Okay, there's the first one there. So this red bar, you can see red bar closed, green bar, next green bar was a small little gap up. So there's your first gap. So it's on that bar there, and that's at 34,980 is a gap. Then you have another gap on this red bar. You can see red bar down, green bar gapped up and up. So there you have another gap. And that one there is on 34,942. And then you have another gap further down. This red bar, there's a gap. This red bar, there's a gap. And I think that was it. The rest are further away. But ultimately, there are gaps all the way down to around 34,900. So you just need to keep that in the back of your mind. Those gaps are always magnets. So for me, 50 minutes is the way to go. Wait for some structure, wait for it to pull back into the zone. If it does get some support in this area here, 35.072 is probably more than likely an attempt higher. 50 minutes did get a close above the previous high of 35.203. So you could argue that that is a close. We had quite a few bars close above it. So I'm just looking for a pullback on structure before we look to buy this. So yeah, that's kind of my view at the moment. Somewhere between 35.107 and 35.072. That's kind of the area that I would be paying attention to. The other area to pay attention to, which is going to be a lot further down, which will more than likely be down here at 34.908. So if price does get down to here, that's pretty much a sure bet trade to hop in, because you've got a diagonal and vertical support, and it's quite strong vertical. Sorry, not vertical, horizontal support. So you've got strong horizontal support, and you've got very strong diagonal support here. So any move back into this area is going to be a very good buying area. That's 34.908. So that's kind of my view today. It is Monday. It's probably going to be slow as well. So firstly is to pay attention in this area here. See if we can hold 35.072. That would give you an opportunity to buy into it for another attempt to get a solid break to the upside. But it is tired, so just remember to take your profit as often as possible. And sorry, before we close off, just want to highlight there's two diagonal supports here. Here's the first one, which is the textbook version. So it's from there to that swing low, and you can see how the support's found there. So that's the textbook version. This one here, which skips those two fractals and pulls up this one, is just the worst case scenario, which is often what these markets do to you. So that's kind of the two that you need to pay attention to. Anyway, that's it for me. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you later. Cheers for now.